so tired. Don't tell them that. No one cares. I really expected to love this book. The book jacket promises everything I want in a good mystery thriller. So I thought this book was gonna be a lot of fun. I thought, ooh, I can't wait to read this. It's gonna be a fun, lighthearted mystery. This book is insane, insane, insane. It floored me, it wrecked me. I'm still recovering. Hi, this is Julie with Mysteries and Mountains, and today I'm taking you with me on my April reading journey. This was such a fun reading month, and I can't wait to share these books with you. I have 4 mysteries and a memoir, and I'm so excited to share them with you because I've been reading a lot more nonfiction this year than normal. Okay, busy day. I gotta rush around and get to yoga, and then we are gonna talk about The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose. Okay friends, I'm back. Let's grab a coffee and go sit outside because it is an absolutely beautiful day out here. Okie dokie, Smokies. Let's talk about The Mystery Guest. Molly the maid is back in this one, and she's been promoted to head maid at the Regency Grand Hotel. This is the second book in the Molly the Maid series by Nita Prose. Molly has a successful career and a boyfriend now, so things are looking up for her. Until Mr. Grimthorpe, a famous author and misanthrope, drops dead in the middle of the hotel's tea room floor. I was so excited to read this one, so I was so shocked by what I read. I love Nita Prose so much, so I don't want to throw her under the bus at all. I hate criticizing authors. I just can't imagine how difficult it must be to write a book, get it published, and then have it be successful. Those are 3 unimaginably challenging goals, and Nita Prose achieved them all. However, I do have a few small issues. The first is the main character, Molly. I get that she has neurodivergent tendencies, but Prose reinforces this idea by having Molly overanalyze every single sentence that other characters say. Another character will say something simple and straightforward, and Molly will go on for several sentences, a paragraph, overanalyzing every single thing they said and everything that it might have meant. It became quite tedious after a while, and I feel like the author could have implied this with 1 or 2 sentences. Secondly, the Detective Stark character was so overwritten, so over the top hateful and mean to Molly, suspecting her of murder immediately when she had absolutely no evidence. And she refused to examine any other suspects, including rich and famous people that were at the event, fan clubs who could have turned into stalkers, enemies this rich and powerful author may have had. I get that cozy mystery characters can sometimes be exaggerated, but this character was so one-note mean and hateful and over-the-top rude to Molly. It just didn't seem to make much sense to me. Same thing with Grimthorpe and his wife. They were both just one-note cruel and hateful with no balance or nuance to their personalities. And I can appreciate a cozy for what it is, typically a subgenre of crime fiction where the sex and violence are downplayed or treated humorously. These tend to be palate cleansers for me, and I'll read them after a particularly disturbing thriller or horror novel if I need something just light and fun to bring me back to neutral. But to be honest, I just couldn't finish this one. I didn't think the writing, character development, or plot were up to the standard of the first book, and it just didn't hold my attention. So I DNF'd it. It's so sad. I'm bummed. I really thought I was gonna like this one. I've been struggling to find time to film lately, so we're just gonna do this next part while I'm getting ready. Next up is Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, a memoir by Matthew Perry. I have always liked Matthew Perry, and this book really piqued my interest. Years ago, when I was in my 20s, I had the habit of buying gossip magazines. That was before the internet was all of our work and reading and entertainment and everything. So I would buy these gossip magazines when I was in line at the grocery store buying my stuff for the week. But I started to realize how toxic and destructive those magazines were. So I quit buying them, quit paying attention to celebrity gossip, just cut all that negativity out of my life. But every now and then I just get drawn in by a story, and this was one of those stories. So I admit that me picking up this book was part interest in Matthew Perry and part interest in celebrity gossip. I've always liked Matthew Perry though.
I've always felt like he was the funniest and most relatable character on Friends. And I liked what I saw of interviews with him. I wouldn't say I was a huge fan, but he was definitely my favorite friend on this show, and I liked his movies. You guys are gonna see how much I damage my hair when I curl it. So I was really looking forward to reading this book, but I was absolutely shocked at what I read. First, just let me say, in Matthew's defense, he was really open and honest in this book. He opened up about his volatile childhood and what a difficult child he was. He was honest about using people throughout his life for his own gain. He was frank about his need for validation and fame. And his struggles with drugs and alcohol were heartbreaking and absolutely devastating. But I have to say, he came off as a terrible person in this book. He bragged a lot about his accomplishments, even to the point of overstating his influence on our culture. It seemed like he had no problem throwing people under the bus, which just felt very tacky to me. And he detailed his romantic relationships, but only if the people were very famous. He just didn't seem like he had a lot of respect for other people's privacy. I think it's just the product steaming off. It's not my hair burning, hopefully. He kind of revealed himself as the type of person who sucks up to successful people. Like, he went on and on and on about partying with Bruce Willis, and I was like, cool, good story. But he never talked about going the other way and reaching back to give someone a hand up. If people were more successful than him, he either sucked up to them or hated them. And if people were less successful, then he seemed like he had nothing but contempt for them. It was just sad, and he came off as desperate and insecure, which reveals a lot about fame. But he described how at one point in his addiction, he was taking up to 50 Xanax a day with alcohol. I did not know a person could survive that. And he seemed like he spent most of his free time looking for drugs. It's just so at odds with the happy-go-lucky guy we saw on TV. He went through rehab for drugs and alcohol many times and ended up living with his dad as an adult because he couldn't be trusted not to do drugs on his own. I felt bad for him because I feel like he used drugs, alcohol, and women, and even fame to try to fill a void that can't be filled by those things. I think cultivating an appreciation for the simple things in life is key. The sunlight on your face, feeling the fresh air, a hot shower, enjoying a good cup of tea, a good book. It's the little things in life that lead to lasting happiness. Fame and success are so fleeting. Matthew wrapped this book up as a success story where he had found some sort of peace and happiness at the end. But just knowing the way he ultimately died cast a shadow over the reading experience for me. I'm just not sure he found lasting sobriety. It's just very sad, but it did make me think, and it made me so grateful for the simple life I have of books, family, and friends. I ended up giving this one a 3. Oh, I'm so tired. Don't tell them that. No one cares. Bitch, everybody's tired. It's called adulting. Next up is The Murder After the Night Before by Katy Brent. I really expected to love this book. The book jacket promises everything I want in a good mystery thriller. It promises a beautiful British girl living and working in London. It promises a murder. It promises a mystery. It promises a hot love interest. So I thought this book was going to be a lot of fun. I thought, ooh, I can't wait to read this. It's going to be a fun, lighthearted mystery. That's not what it was. This book is a lot darker than I originally thought. We have another main character named Molly, and she lives and works in London at a magazine and shares a flat with her best friend who's also a journalist. She's not that serious about her career and likes to party. And that's where the lightheartedness ends. She has a horrible night out where she gets wasted by drinking too much. She gets into a fight with 2 friends. She goes viral for the worst possible reason you could imagine. She ends up with a stranger in her bed, and later she finds out her best friend was murdered. The rest of the book follows Molly being cyberbullied, fighting her way through a deep, dark depression, isolating in her flat, and searching for her best friend's killer. The tone of this book quickly turns tense, sad, and depressing, but it is a fast-paced thriller, and I love the characters. There's Molly, who I've already described, her best friend Posey, who's a type A perfectionist, her new sweet love interest, Jack, and her mean, demanding boss, Robin. There are a wide variety of support characters, and anyone could be the killer. I love that in a thriller when you don't know where to turn or who to trust. Brent's a skilled writer, and she writes a fast-paced, engaging plot and well-developed characters. And she's very talented at developing suspense in a given scene. But the tone was just too dark for me. Some of the themes include kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder. The tone was just a little too sad and creepy for me. I would say it was more triggering, but not so scary. So while I completely enjoyed the story, I can't give it more than 4 stars.
Such a beautiful day out today. It's our last ski trip of the season, but I just wanted to take a second to tell you about my last couple of books I have for you today.
Next up is The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. 9 30-something friends take a vacation together over Christmas break. This is a tradition they've kept alive since they all went to college together at Oxford. This time they've chosen a remote estate in the Scottish Highlands, the perfect setting to relax and get away from their stressful lives. They begin their trip by having a bougie dinner together, drinking champagne in front of the fire, and admiring the stunning views of the estate. But little petty resentments and squabbles have been building up over the years and threatening to break through to the surface. They arrive on December 30, just before a devastating blizzard hits the area and cuts the lodge off from the rest of civilization. I could not have chosen a more perfect setting to read this book. We just got hit with a blizzard here last night, and so we've got several inches of fresh pow that we got to ski on today. It was amazing. And also, I can just relate to the characters having to fight through the snow. And by New Year's Day, one of them is dead. This is an isolated closed circle mystery where you just have the 9 friends and 3 employees at the lodge. So you basically have to choose among them to figure out the killer. There's an exception or 2 thrown in just to mix things up, but I love the isolated closed circle mystery trope. I love friends being cut off from the outside world due to snow. But Lucy Foley chose to have too many narrators again. She told this story from 5 or 6 different perspectives, and that just does not work for me. I like to have one main character and see inside their head all their thoughts and feelings. I need one main person to identify with. I don't mind if there's multiple narrators, but I need one main character. But Foley loves to give you a balanced point of view where each and every one of the characters gets equal time and attention. And I just can't relate well to the characters in that scenario. But the plot was thick, the characters were well developed, and the tone was creepy intense. There was so much I loved about this book. But while I loved the story and the characters, I just couldn't find one to hold on to. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Next up is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. This book is insane, insane, insane. It floored me, it wrecked me. I'm still recovering. So Josie Fair decides to spend her 45th birthday at the local pub, and she notices a glamorous woman there named Alex who's also celebrating her 45th birthday. They're birthday twins, born on the same day at the same hospital. She discovers Alex is a successful podcaster. So a couple days later, the 2 women bump into each other on the street, and Josie pitches Alex an idea for a podcast about her. Alex finally agrees, and they begin podcasting together. The story Josie tells of her life is outlandish. At times, I feel a certain sympathy for Josie, and at other times, she seems psychotic. Alex feels conflicted and uncertain, but she can't help but feel fascinated by Josie. As Alex becomes more and more unsettled by her, Josie becomes more and more enmeshed in Alex's life and her home. So one day, Josie disappears and leaves a horrifying mess in her wake. Both women's lives will be changed forever, and they will never be the same. This was by far the creepiest book I've read in a really long time. There were some unsettling themes, including child abuse, pedophilia, and murder. So if you're triggered by any of these, maybe stay away from this one. It's a difficult read in some ways. So this book explores the relationship between mothers, their children, their husbands, and families. So it goes pretty deep. It's profound and emotionally shattering at times, and at others, it's just a good mystery thriller. I believe this is my first Lisa Jewell book, and I'm really impressed. Jewell is an exceptional writer. Her ability to craft complex characters and emotional storylines is remarkable. She captures the complexities of human emotions and makes this book deeply memorable. I absolutely loved this story. It was gripping and thrilling. I liked the characters, but there were a lot of triggers happening and it was pretty dark. So I gave this one a 4.5. Thank you so much for coming on this April reading journey with me. I had so much fun this month. Good reading month. Lots of interesting books. So if you want to like and subscribe, I'll be your best friend. Love you and like you. Have a great day. Bye.